What actually is New Earth? Now, this is actually the question I wanted to answer in this video, but then I realized that I couldn't quite do it without first doing a video on talking about your thoughts, vibration, and karma, and how that really all goes together. So hopefully in this video, I can explain all of these, create that, wider lens in relation to all of these things, help create that web, and then I will do another video shortly after talking about New Earth, what it is, and how we actually really get there as a collective. Now, I want to start off by really talking about where thoughts actually come from. Now, if you ask the average person, who is thinking your thoughts or where are your thoughts coming from, they will think and they will say that we are producing these thoughts, our mind is producing these thoughts, and really you are creating them. That means you are actually your mind. But when you start going towards spirituality, even possibly quieting the mind, you really come to realize that that is not the truth. So what is the truth about thoughts? Where do those really come from? Well, the truth is that your mind is not actually producing the thoughts, but more so receiving them and translating them to you. And so if you think about where that actually comes from, so then if, your mind is not producing them, then where are they coming from? And the truth is that they actually are coming from what we would call the creative intelligence, the collective consciousness. Anything that was ever to be created or thought of, an idea, a concept, a thought, a solution, has already been created and already exists. We are merely, antennas that are almost receiving this information, catching it, and, interpreting it and then using it. The more we focus on something we've received and start taking steps towards it, that is how we start to really build and create a reality. But the actual thought in itself, it could be picked up by anybody. So then the question becomes, well, if that is the truth, then technically, if you think about it, any, invention that's ever been created, which started firstly as a thought, would not have been the invention of that person, because that idea, that concept, that solution already existed. And really what that inventor or, person creator really did was pick up on that signal, grab it, and really bring it into, the material and physical form. Now, if you want to, really think about this a little deeper, think about your own self. Where do some of your best ideas come from, or at what time, I should say, do they really come up? If you think about, let's say there's a problem that you are ruminating about, and, you're thinking about it, you have put a lot of focus on that particular, idea, that problem, that situation. But when does the thought really come to you, that solution come to you? It's not you producing that solution. What ends up happening is you're focusing on that particular idea, that concept, that thought so much that you end up actually attracting more ideas, solutions in relation to that. And they actually come to you, if you think about it, when you are brushing your teeth, when you are in the shower, when you are driving, all activities where you are actually very quiet in terms of your mind, and all of a sudden your inner, state is ready to receive those ideas. So you tune in, almost like that radio station that we talk about often. You turn that dial, you are receptive to receiving that idea, and then you almost, receive it. And so that is kind of how thought is really, manifested into your 3D form. You end up pulling it from the collective consciousness, acting on it, and then it comes into, physical form through you. Now, I talk a lot on this channel about, your vibration, your frequency. Well, guess what? The thoughts that you actually end up receiving are totally because you are in alignment with them. And basically what that means is your inner state determines the state of your thoughts. Now, if you are operating from a place of fear, you are going to end up, attracting more thoughts about fear and how to basically grow that fear because that is the quality of your inner state. And so, based on that vibration, you are basically catching. Think of yourself almost as casting a net out. And based on your inner vibration, you end up catching things, thoughts, people, places, events that are tied to your inner state. And so, what you're really doing is you're attracting towards you whatever it is that you are reflecting out. And this changes on your awakening journey as you rise up in vibration, as you start that ascension, because essentially you are going through a clearing process. You are shining all the light that you can on your shadow. And as you do this, the quality of your thoughts improves, the intentions that you're working towards, really move up. Instead of fear, instead of, lack, instead of worry, you start to move towards love, you start to move towards faith, you start to move towards service, all of these positive, feelings and emotions tied into them. And then that starts to cast a totally different vibration out, totally different things start being attracted into you. And that is how you change the quality of your thoughts, and that ends up changing the reality that you are actually creating for yourself. Now, another thing I really want to talk about is karma and how that really plays into this whole grand big picture. And really what karma is your, association with accounts that you've created with other people. Now, let's say you had very abusive parents. What you are really trying to learn from them through that experience is a lesson that can help the expansion of your consciousness. Ultimately, anything that we experience is meant to help us expand our consciousness. Whether or not we learn that lesson, is a different story. And when we keep repeating that loop, and the way that we repeat that loop is, let's say I had a very abusive parent that I wasn't very fond of course, growing up. I had a very challenging relationship. I had my childhood, I could say, destroyed based on that experience. And that is my, awareness of that experience that I had. And if I have a negative outlook on what I experience, I am not learning from that experience, which is actually meant to help me grow. Possibly that experience is, supposed to help me so that in future I can help others overcome that challenge as well. I can heal from that. I can forgive that parent. Forgiveness is really for me so that I can really end that cycle. But let's say I'm not ready to do that. Let's say I had such a tough time, and this is not to take away from anybody's negative experience, because of course we are human. We have a lot of emotions tied to what we've experienced. We might see that situation as being very negative. What we don't want to do is allow that to make us the victim in the situation and allow it to really prolong to a point where we are not moving out of that experience. And the way that we could do that is, even though my father maybe is no longer alive or my father is no longer present in my life, I am still holding on to that experience. He may not be an active part of my life, but I am still, living my current life with that pain, with that anger, with that, truth that existed once upon a time is now taking over my present and is also ruling my future. And so where you want to really come from in the challenging situations is allow yourself to move away from those emotions, really transmute that experience, turn that pain into something positive, and really move forward from it. And really what you want to do is forgive that individual. You want to let that go. Because when we don't let it go, we get stuck on the wheel of karma. And that basically means that, I'm holding on to that experience so, so strongly that I'm not willing to let it go. I'm asking for it to be repeated. I have not learned what it was trying to teach me, whatever that may be on the course of my path in this life. And if I'm not learning from it, I'm holding on to it. I'm creating this perpetual cycle where that individual may show up in my life again in the next lifetime, possibly, not being my dad again, but maybe somebody else. And what we end up doing is back and forth with each other, creating that same cycle, that same lesson that has not yet been integrated and learned. So now instead of, you expanding your consciousness, which was the whole purpose of what you went through, also recognizing that Earth really is a school. If we don't learn the lesson, we're like those children that have not, met the criteria for that grade and possibly could be left behind as the rest of the class may graduate. Now, this is not something to really get down about because each person at their own level on Earth is trying to learn their lessons at their own speed. Some will evolve faster than others, and some are, going to take more time. But what we want to really try and get to, especially when you are now looking at the awakening journey, is anything that you think is trying to hold you back, a repeating cycle, somebody you feel like you just can't forgive. You want to spend, a lot of time making sure you bring awareness to that issue and letting it go because it is holding you back from your own spiritual growth and your own expansion, which is crucial to the journey that you are on. Now, if you were somebody that experienced a sudden awakening, I really didn't know what you were up for, understand that this is an awesome opportunity that you've been granted. It's really a gift, as difficult as it may seem to really, get through it. What it's really trying to do is to awaken you really from all of those lessons, is acting as a disruptor to your old state of self, where you are just moving through life, not really processing at that higher state of consciousness what you're really here to do. The more we are stuck in the details of what's happening to us, the more we are not letting things go, the harder, the journey becomes for us in this school, in this, on this earth. And really, we want to get past this as soon as we can and really evolve to the greater parts, because when we reach those higher states of consciousness, we really realize what a gift we've truly been given once we get there. I really hope this video is helpful to you in understanding where thoughts come from, where, we have the power of really changing our own reality, and really how we move away from karma into a better place in terms of those higher states of consciousness, which is where we really want to be, away from those lessons that are, coming out for us. We want to move away because once we eventually close out those cycles, there is a better path ahead. But first, we must learn those lessons, integrate them, and move forward. Thank you so much for listening. I really hope this was helpful. God bless.